Welcome to Games From Folktales, a podcast that mixes historical research and tabletop role-playing settings. I'm your host, Timothy Ferguson. This week, the third episode in our Goethe series. 3 poems, starting with the 7 Sleepers of Ephesus. The 7 Sleepers have some deep links in Ars Magica lore because an infernal variant of them appears in Tribunals of Hermes, Rome. The Islamic version of this story has a sleeping dog that guards the door of their cave, and this has made its way into Goethe. That character entered Sicilian folklore, which was briefly an emirate. In Sicilian, he's called Kitmir, and that could be the name by which he's known in the order. The relics of the sleepers are believed to have been scrounged up during the Crusades and are now in Marseille. That wrecks the idea they're still sleeping and waiting for judgment or some other responsibility, which does seem stronger for game purposes. Thanks to the LibriVox recorders.
The 7 Sleepers of Ephesus by Johann Wolfgang von Goethe, translated by William Edmonston Ayton and Theodore Martin. Read by Belinda McReynolds. 6 young men of Caesar's household fled before their master's anger. As a god he claimed their worship, though a sorry god was he. For an insect ever buzzing still annoyed him at the banquet, still disturbed his rest and pleasure. All the chasing of his servants could not drive away the torment. Ever round the head of Caesar did the angry creature hover, threatening with its poisoned sting. Still it flew, and swiftly circling, made confusion at the table. Messenger of Beelzebub, the infernal lord of flies. Ha! So spake the youths together. He a god that fears an insect! Can a god be thus molested? Does a god, like wretched mortals, feast and revel at the banquet? Nay, to him the one, the only, who the sun and moon created, who hath made the stars in glory, shall we henceforth bend the knee? So they spake and left the palace, left it in their trim apparel. By a shepherd led, they hastened to a cave was in the mountain, and they all went gliding in. And the shepherd's dog came after, though they strove to drive him from them, thrust himself toward his master, licked their hands in dumb entreaty, that he might remain their fellow, and lay down with them to sleep. But the wrath of Caesar kindled when he knew that they had left him. All his former love departed, all his thought was vengeance only. Out in quest he sent his people, traced them to the mountain hollow. Not to fire nor sword he doomed them, but he bade great stones be lifted to the entrance of the cavern, saw it fastened up with mortar, and so left them in their tomb. But the youths lay calmly sleeping, and the angel, their protector, spake before the throne of glory. I have watched beside the sleepers, made them turn in slumber ever, that the damps of yonder cavern should not cramp their youthful limbs, and the rocks around I've opened, that the sun at rising, setting, may give freshness to their cheeks. So they lie in rest and quiet, in the bliss of happy dreams. So they lay, and still beside them lay the dog in peaceful slumber, never whimpering in his sleep. Years came on, and years departed, till at last the young men wakened, and the wall, so strongly fastened, now had fallen into ruin, crumbled by the touch of ages. Then Iamblichus the youngest, and the goodliest of them all, seeing that the shepherd trembled, said, I pray you now, my brothers, let me go to seek provision. I have gold, my life I'll venture, tarry till I bring you bread. Ephesus, that noble city, then for many a year had yielded to the faith of the Redeemer, Jesus, glory to his name. And he ran unto the city. At the gate were many warders, armed men on tower and turret. But he passed them all unchallenged. To the nearest baker's went he, and in haste demanded bread. Ha! Young rogue, exclaimed the baker, surely thou hast found a treasure. That old piece of gold betrays thee. Give me, or I shall denounce thee, half the treasure thou hast found. And Iamblichus denied it, but the baker would not listen, brawling till the watch came forward. To the king they both were taken, and the monarch, like the baker, but a higher right asserting, claimed to share the treasure too. But at last the wondrous story which the young man told the monarch proved itself by many tokens. Lord was he of that same palace, whither he was brought for judgment, for he showed to them a pillar, in the which a stone when loosened led unto a treasure chamber, heaped with gold and costly jewels. Straightway came in haste his kindred, all his clan came thronging round him, eager to advance their claim. Each was nearer than the other. And Iamblichus the blooming, young in face and form and feature, stood an ancestor among them. All bewildered heard he legends of his son and of his grandsons, fathers of the men before him. So amazed he stood and listened, patriarch in his early manhood, while the crowd around him gathered, stalwart men and mighty captains, him the youngest to acknowledge as the founder of their race. And one token with another made assurance doubly certain. None could doubt the wondrous story of himself and of his comrades. Shortly to the cave returning, king and people all go with him, and they saw him enter in. But no more to king or people did the chosen reappear. For the 7 who long had tarried, nay, but there were 8 in number, for the faithful dog was with them, thenceforth from the world were sundered. The most blessed angel Gabriel, by the will of God Almighty, walling up the cave forever, led them unto paradise.
Next, the false lover. We have seen variants of this story before, and statistics can be found under the Glenconner in Realms of Power Fairy. This one has a little extra set dressing, so it's worth including.
The False Lover by Johann Wolfgang von Goethe. It was a gallant, wild and free, from France he came, this rover, and oft a poor young girl had he caressed and sworn to love her, and fondled her and pressed and wooed, and toyed as a bridegroom only should, and in the end forsook her. And hearing this, that nut-brown maid was crazed and broken-hearted. She laughed and wept and swore and prayed, and so her soul departed. That hour a horror fell on him, a crawling terror shook each limb, and on his horse he bounded. With bloody spurs and visage pale, he dashed on fast and faster. Now here, now there, up hill, down dale, but no peace can he master. 7 days, 7 nights he rides amain, through lightning, thunder, wind and rain, and torrents fierce and swelling. Through lightning flash and tempest din, unto a ruin rides he, ties up his horse and creeps within, and from the storm blast hides he. And as he gropes through darkness grim, the earth falls inward under him, and down, down, down he tumbles. Reviving from the shock, he sees 3 tapers faintly glancing. He scrambles after them, but these 3 tapers keep advancing, sideways along, upstairs and down, through passages long, gaunt and brown, and crumbling vaults they lead him. At once he stands within a hall, where countless guests are meeting. Their hollow eyes give one and all a grim and ghastly greeting. He sees his leman down below, arrayed in garments white as snow. She turns.
And we end with the Waterman. There is a note from the translators, quote, "This ballad cannot be claimed as one of Goethe's original compositions, it being a very close translation of an old Danish ballad entitled The Merman and Marstig's Daughter. As, however, it appears in all collections, and has often been quoted as a favourable specimen of Goethe's skill in assuming the simple style of the popular northern ballads, we have deemed it advisable to give a version. The quote ends. So the statistics are as per Merrow's in Realms of Power Ferry.
The Waterman by Johann Wolfgang von Goethe. Read by Alan Mapstone. Oh, mother, read me well, I pray. How shall I woo me yon winsome May? She hath built him a horse of the water clear, the saddle and bridle of sea sand were. He has donned the garb of a knight so gay, and to Mary's kirk he has ridden away. He tied his steed to the chancel door, and he stepped round the kirk 3 times and 4. He has boon him into the kirk, and all drew near to gaze on him, great and small. The priest he was standing in the choir, what gay young gallant comes branking here? The winsome maid to herself said she, oh, were that gay young gallant for me! He stepped o'er 1 stool, he stepped o'er 2. O maiden, plight me thine oath so true. He stepped o'er 3 stools, he stepped o'er 4. Wilt be mine, sweet May, for evermore? She gave him her hand of the drifted snow. Here hast thou my troth, and with thee I'll go. They went from the kirk with the bridal train, they danced in glee, and they danced full fain. They danced them down to the salt sea strand, and they left them standing there, hand in hand. Now wait thee, love, with my steed so free, and the bonniest bark I'll bring for thee. And when they passed to the white, white sand, the ships came sailing on to the land. But when they were out in the midst of the sound, down went they all in the deep profound. Long, long on the shore, when the winds were high, they heard from the waters the maidens cry. I rede ye, damsels, as best I can, tread not the dance with the Waterman.
Your saga may vary.